Hello and welcome to another episode of The Wealth Whisperer. And today I'm absolutely honoured to be joined by David Roberts from Business with Purpose. And I think we're going to be in for a treat today because David is a CEO. He's a podcaster. He's a mentor to other CEOs and a board advisor and investor. So he has a breadth and depth of experience in the business world. And I think he's very much aligned in terms of what we talk about here on The Wealth Whisperer, in terms of helping people achieve a really good balance and to have a lifestyle alongside what it is that they do and they're passionate about. So being a mentor, board advisor and investor, David, can you tell us a little bit more, perhaps about each of these areas and your expertise, just to give us a little bit of context about what it is that you actually do?
Yeah, sure. And thank you for having me on the show. It's great to be here. I took one business from startup to 8 figures in a couple of years as a CEO, and I did that kind of for somebody else, and then I did it for myself by buying into a business and then growing that and then selling that a few years ago. And I think what I found is that because work is somewhere that we potentially spend quite a lot of time, it's very, very important to create great places to work. And one thing that shocked me was I read, and I keep reading, that about 80% of people are not engaged in their work. They just show
Wow.
up and they do what they need to do, get paid, and off they go. And I don't know, it just that just doesn't feel right to me. And what that does is that puts pressure on the economy. It means that people aren't happy in what they're doing every day. It means that the business is missing all of that, discretionary effort that you get from people who are really enthused, really engaged, and really up for it. And then when it comes to the people who are running the business, it means that they've got like a major leadership challenge. And so you find business owners who are feeling either strung out because there's too much work on and they're trying to do it all themselves, or they're strung out because things aren't working quite as well as they should, because people aren't engaged and up for it. So in building my businesses and in now supporting other CEOs, what I'm trying to help them with is, one, creating profitable businesses. But that's not the primary goal. The primary goal is to have a purpose-driven business that makes an impact. Because businesses exist to solve problems, and the better the business can understand what the customer's problem is and then solve it, the more money the business will make, if it's a profit-making business. And and that's something that I think lots of business owners potentially can begin to lose sight of, after they've started it or been running it for a while, and so reconnecting with that reason why the business was started in the first place, and maybe refreshing that, and also vitally important for the owner, founder, CEO to also have a good connection with their own purpose. That means that they get a kind of a feel for, the fullness of life they want to live. And they're not in the situation then where they're kind of almost deferring a lot of other parts of life that they probably can now afford to enjoy, which is, important that they do enjoy themselves, both at work and outside work, because they've got a business that's focused on a core mission, if you like, and everyone's engaged and enthused and up for it. So all three of those things that I do, board advising and running businesses, and then investing in businesses, they're the kind of things that I look for, and because the opportunity really for business, I think, which sometimes has a bad reputation, is to solve problems that we've got in society, and we've got quite a few problems, but not at the expense of the health and well-being of the leadership team or anyone in the business.
No, absolutely. I think that's an incredible mission to be on, if I may say. And I think one of the words you said there, impact. It's not only the impact that's being made on the customer and, therefore the consumer, but like you said, the impact on the employees and most importantly on the business owner who, has gone through the hard yards of setting up the business and, getting it off the ground and then turning it into a successful business. But it's the impact all round. And like you said, that level of satisfaction that seems to be lacking all too often, unfortunately. I think if you have a happy place to work and you feel enthused and you feel joyful, you're going to put your all into it and actually enjoy it. And that's part of the life experience for everybody involved, which is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Because happy people, generally speaking, just do a better job. People who feel like they are understood, feel like they're cared for, but also people who feel like they're being challenged a bit. I mean, the way I look at it, people want 4 main things from work. They want to be rewarded. They want that sense of achievement. So they want to know that they're being successful. They want development or growth or to be learning new things. And that doesn't have to be like, some big deal. It can be just be that they're learning and they're evolving. And they also want to be a part of something. Yeah. And they want to know what their part is in the overall mission of the business. So if you've got somebody who's doing a job on a manufacturing process or selling, then they're both part of the same, solution, if you like, model that delivers a solution that's a benefit to a customer. So, people who are selling are actually serving the customers for that business. People who are making stuff or moving stuff around in a warehouse are actually making the delivery promise of that company come through. So it should be fairly straightforward to draw that line between the purpose of the organization and the individual roles within the business so that everyone can see their own impact, both from a kind of a positive impact point of view and also if things aren't necessarily going to plan, where they're having an impact that's adverse. And so that is something that I focus on quite a lot, and it's surprising how often you find one of those 4 things is missing, and it's quite an easy thing to fix.
Yeah, and obviously you've had a huge amount of experience in that and can see exactly where those fixes need to be made, perhaps, so that the business can run more smoothly and everybody is, raising their game.
Well, often when I'm talking to business owners or leaders in businesses, and it's the same as in anything in life, really. You kind of know, if you take a moment to reflect, you kind of know if there's a problem there or something that could work better. And very often you kind of know what it is you need to do about it. But it's just having the person there who gets it, who can maybe ask you the right questions and, give you that balance of support and challenge, that bit of accountability, I suppose, to actually do the things you need to do. Because when you're managing a business, leading a team, or actually, everyone suffers from the same thing to varying degrees. We all know what we should be doing, and sometimes we just don't do it because we get the dopamine hit from clearing the email inbox or whatever, and we just know that's not the most important thing we should be doing. So let's get those dopamine hits from actually doing the things we should be doing, and the whole thing moves forward much more effectively.
Love that. Yeah, so true. So true. And talking of challenges, you mentioned the word challenge there. Tell me about one of the perhaps if you've had like a major business challenge in your time and how you overcame it. What would you say was the biggest challenge you've ever experienced in business and how you overcame it?
Well, there've been quite a few. There've been quite a few. One of the biggest challenges I had was I was actually working as part of a large business, and I was learning my craft there, and I sort of learnt my craft, working for the people, and got a lot out of it. And I made a mistake. I trusted somebody to do something, and they didn't do it. And so the change that we were making is we were improving the service of the business that I was working for, and also improving the sales effectiveness. So it was a project. There was a team of, I don't know, 40 people, something like that, and we were kind of restructuring roles and all those sorts of things. And yeah, what we had to do, we had two really key things we had to do. One is we had to win orders, and the other is when the customers had a problem with their bills, we had to make sure we were on top of those queries very, very quickly. Because this was kind of like a multi-million pound business, and if there was a query on the invoice, the bill wouldn't get paid and all of that. And the person who I trusted to run this project just focused on one of those things and not on both of them. So we ended up in a situation where the sales side of things was going really, really well, but the invoice query side of things wasn't going very well, and so we had a £2.5 million hole in our cash receipts, and it was a fairly cash generative business. It was a fairly healthy business, but that's a very big lump of change not to be coming in.
Sure.
And we were not quite days, but certainly a couple of weeks away from being in some quite serious trouble. So that was quite a big challenge. We overcame it. We rejigged and reorganized things, and I suppose the lesson that I learned from that was you need to know yourself really well. And I could have picked like a whole number of different challenges, but the reason I picked that one is because I learned a really, really important lesson about my own personal preferences. So I'm I'm not very into detail, not naturally anyway. And so, and I'm quite a trusting person, and that, can be quite a good combination, because if you're kind of strategy and blue sky thinking and all that kind of stuff and relationships and all those sorts of things, they can be really good qualities. But you need to understand that if you overplay your strengths, then potentially you're going to get yourself into trouble. And that's exactly what I did. Because even though this person in my team was responsible for making sure that happened, I was basically accountable for it. So I learned that I have to dial up my attention to detail, and sometimes I have to dial down my exuberance and all of that kind of stuff, because that can sometimes wind people up. And it's really, really important to understand yourself and play to your strengths, but also make sure that you are aware of areas where perhaps you need to dial up a different energy, or so for me, so say it's focus or whatever. I have to actually manage myself and lead myself to make sure that I'm doing that when I really need to. And the other thing about that is it taught me is that what you need in a team is you need a blend of the right kind of or not the right kind of, because we've all got these different energies in all of us. We've all got different levels of being direct and directive, being sociable and affable and jolly and all that, being detailed, and also being personable and caring about people. We've all got different we're all like cakes, and we've got different levels of those different sort of ingredients. So if you've got a team, you're looking at running a team, building a business with a team, knowing that across the team you've got a blend of those different energies, is really, really key. And if you're partnering with somebody in business, understanding your own preferences and the preferences of the people you're going into business with, is also super important, because then you can, complement each other. Or if you've got a gap, you can call it out and say, right, we need to double down on this, because neither of us are very good at this thing. So we're going to have to, dial some energy up to be able to solve this problem, or embrace this opportunity, or whatever it might be. So yeah, so that's that. I think that one taught me a lot. So thinking about challenges, there have been probably bigger challenges on the face of that, with people and businesses in trouble and all those kind of things. But yeah, the lessons that you take from these things that happen is the most important thing.
Some amazing insights there, absolutely wonderful, because like you say, business challenges or challenges in life are what helps you grow, what makes you see things that you would not have otherwise seen. And you've shed quite a lot of light on quite a few aspects of that challenge that came to light for you, which is brilliant. So would you say that those lessons were out of those lessons, was it the most important lesson you've learned in business, or is there a different lesson, a different most important lesson that you've learned in business from any aspect?
Well, I think that was quite an important lesson, because it taught me a lot about myself and how I needed to show up, and the kind of team that I needed to build. And it also taught me the importance of cash flow. And yeah, that is probably a lesson that you, in a way, you want to try to avoid learning the hard way. So they are very important lessons. And actually, it kind of proves the point in a way, because businesses, generally speaking, end up either getting sold or dying. Basically,
Yeah.
that's what happens. They either get sold or taken on by somebody else, or they shut down. And cash flow is often the reason that's cited as being the main reasons why businesses fail, and it kind of is, but it's the symptom, to my mind. Okay, if you're not selling anything, fair enough, right? But that's probably the symptom of a sales problem, or a product market fit problem, or a reputational problem, or a marketing problem, or probably more often than not, actually a leadership problem. And so I think it's important to take from this that, whilst cash flow was a very, very important lesson for me to learn, and I've since worked with banks and had covenants to deal with, and all of that, and I now, even if there's no bank debt involved, I will always set up dummy covenants. And sorry, what I mean by that is, you basically have to make sure there's a sufficient level of cash in relation to the profit that you're making, and there's other metrics as well that banks use to keep you on your toes. So I make sure I've got those metrics set up, so that whether I've got that sort of bank debt problem or not, I'm always keeping the cash flow in view. That's really, really important. But actually, there's the example, learning the lesson and actually being the leader that you need to be to make sure that the business remains sustainable. That's really, really important. So I think the leadership is so overlooked, and people think, well, I'm an all right leader. I know how to manage stuff. I know how to get things done and all that kind of stuff. But leadership is about how you regulate yourself, how you recognize your own strengths and weaknesses, and improve what you need to, and compensate for the things that you either can't or don't want to improve, because that's valid, with other people, and then moving forwards, taking responsibility for everything that happens in your business or your wealth building journey, or your family life, or whatever it is crucial, because we're all leaders. Lots of us don't describe ourselves as leaders, but if you think about it, you will be able to identify part of your life where you play that leadership role, and that's a kind of a muscle to exercise, and a skill to develop, because it's like brilliant in business, but it's also brilliant in other parts of life as well.
Yeah, for sure. I've got, that rings very true to me as well. There's a saying that I've got, which is, you don't just go into business, you grow into business. And that is key, isn't it? We don't know what we don't know at the outset, and then you have to learn, and you learn from working with other people, growing in a business that you're kind of training in, and then the experience comes, etc., and you then realize and recognize that the leadership aspect is coming through, and that's wonderful.
And I'm learning all the time. I kind of I don't like it when you're sort of sat in a board meeting and that phrase is used too often, because potentially it can become an excuse for not getting better, if you like. So I like to hear it, but if I hear it too much, it concerns me that's almost becoming either the focus or an excuse, because it shouldn't be. But I invest a lot in my own learning, sort of both from the point of view of the sort of projects that I get involved in, but also, I have a coach, I have a couple of different mentors in different parts of business and all of that. You really need to keep learning, and it's great. It's great. I really enjoy it, thankfully, but it is vitally important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's interesting you say that. I agree with about the mentoring side of things. When you are a mentor, or you had a mentor, everybody's helping each other up the chain, if you like, the ladder. Who would you say would be the three most influential people in your world who have helped you get to where you are, whether that's a business mentor or a family member or a friend or what have you? Who would you say have been the three most influential people to help you get to the point that you're at right now?
Three. Right. Okay. So the first one is definitely a guy called David Jones. He saw something in me 25 years ago, and he saw something in me that I hadn't yet seen in myself, and he sort of he was my boss's boss, and sort of called me in for a chat, and just encouraged me. He had my back. He gave me opportunities. He called me out big time when I made mistakes. There was no, there was no holding back either way. If you did well, he would that'll be it. He would tell you and other people. And if you didn't do well, he would certainly tell me, and because he was very, very respectful, and everyone knew about it probably one way or another. But he was very respectful, and he taught me a lot about sort of the commercial part of life. He taught me a lot about so sort of sales and marketing and all that kind of stuff. He taught me a lot about people and human dynamics, and he was very good at making money. Very good at making money. So I learned a lot from him on that. He's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Who else have I learned a lot from? Wow, that's just so many people.
Oh yeah, who's been most influential? Yeah, who's been most
influential? Well, my wife's really influential. Now, when she listens to this, she's gonna be annoyed I didn't mention her first. But Penny is kind of she's sort of my why in a way. And I don't mention her specifically in my own sort of personal purpose statement, but she is, and our family is the reason why I I do what I do from that point of view. So as being the kind of the motivating force in my life that also keeps me on my toes is great, and I love her to bits. So she's pretty mega, and
Wonderful.
yeah, and I didn't have to say that because there's no way she'll listen to this. She's tired of my voice as it is, so it's fine. So yeah, and then who is so I'm going to say, because it's current, I'm going to say Ryan Pinnock. Now, and the reason I'm going to say Ryan Pinnock is because he is one of my mentors at the moment, and I'm learning lots from him. And what you get from him is you get a very authentic and open and honest. What you see is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, as a role model, so he knows, he's very wise, and he's also very self-aware when he's perhaps not been quite so wise, and he's very honest about that. So you get a real depth from spending time with him and learning from him, and in a way you feel like you're learning together. So I think Ryan's very influential, and I've been a kind of aware of him for a few years, and dipped in and dipped out of working with him, and I like the way he brings some of the spiritual dimensions of self and sort of self development, personal development, if you like, and the kind of very hard edged commercial business aspects of life together. And to talk about love in a business context is something that I do. We're also both very aligned from a kind of a purpose being everything, So I feel very comfortably uncomfortable when I'm with him, which is a good place to be.
Hey, thanks so much for listening into the show. I have a quick question for you. Are you feeling stuck in the grind, even though you're doing everything right? If you're in your 40s working hard in a successful career, but are wondering when you'll finally get to live life on your terms, you're not alone. After 15 years of coaching high-performing professionals, I'm opening up a few one-to-one coaching spots again for those ready to take back control. This isn't fluffy life coaching. It's practical, no BS conversations to help you escape burnout, build real momentum, and start moving towards freedom. If that's you, I'm offering a free 30-minute clarity session to see if we're the right fit. No pressure. Just real talk and real strategy. Head to the link below to book your free session. Spots are limited, so grab one while they're open. Listen, you've waited long enough. This might just be the step that changes everything. Nice. So yeah, you've got the support factor, but you've also then got the standing at the edge and growing and taking leaps of faith along the way with his support, which is that's great to hear. Yeah. I love that, and I totally get what you're saying about the purpose being it. And from one of your Facebook posts that I read recently, or listened to recently, was about getting yourself into the state of a calm peace of mind, kind of that, setting your day off as you would wish to exist in this world, let's face it, because I think what I witness is that so many people think or say, or when I have this, then I'll feel that, or be able to do X, Y, Z. And it's almost like they're waiting for something in the future to make them feel a certain way, which is actually completely the wrong way round, isn't it? And it seems like as soon as I heard that video, it was like I am on that page because for me, it's all about that, getting yourself, being in that state. Because why would you want to build your life in any other way?
Yeah, no, I agree, and yeah, it's very, very easy to even if you wake up anyway with a kind of a feeling of anxiety or stress, because you got things buzzing around in your head and all of that, then that's kind of your subconscious in a way is choosing how you start your day. But is it the subconscious that you really, really want to listen to? It's the stuff that's rattling around in there. It's what's being cleansed, and it might be really important. Actually, if you can close your eyes and breathe and connect with who you really are, then you can make a different choice. And it's the same in any scenario. Literally the only thing that we are in control of, someone's going to prove me wrong scientifically, but to my mind, literally the only thing we're in control of is how we react to stuff. So stuff is going to happen. That is it. Right. So somebody is
a
not
given,
going to
isn't
do
it?
what they said they were going to do. And, you're going to be £2.5 million short on your cash balance, or, stuff's going to happen that's going to affect you. Stuff will have happened to you all the way through your life, and you don't know it, but it's affecting how you react to things today, So, and that's all, okay, it's all designed to keep you safe and all that kind of stuff. But actually, you can be really, really intentional with how you react to things. And yeah, back to leadership. If every problem's a leadership problem, then the biggest problem that leaders need to learn to solve is how to regulate their emotional reactions, their state, so that they can be who it is they need to be, to do the things they want to do, so they can get the things they want to get, so they can fulfill their purpose in life. And that's something that once you're aware of it, you realize, okay, hang on a second, I need to work on this then every single day. So as part of my daily practice, I will close my eyes, and I will connect up, if you like, how my body is feeling, my emotions and my thoughts, and I'll just breathe into all that, and then make a choice, and then see how long that calm feeling lasts, depending on what happens. But it's really, really cool. And Tony Robbins talks about business being a spiritual game, and I think, well, we are in a way spiritual beings. No matter what you believe, we are, because there's stuff going on that you can't see or look at, that is driving a lot of our decisions and a lot of our behaviour. So choose whatever word you like, but we are spiritual. That's the word I choose, and business is a spiritual game. So those who can embrace that and understand that that's how people work, I think will be more successful than those that don't fully.
Certainly worth taking note of, isn't it? It's certainly worth spending that time to take notice of how you're feeling and what's going on internally, rather than just the knee-jerk reaction. Yeah, that's really a great point. And I think anyone can take that into their life, whether they are, whether they're a CEO or whether they're an employee, or whether, whatever stage of the game they're at. So that's wonderful stuff. And you mentioned a minute ago, obviously, about your wife, that family is very important to you. So if we can just maybe touch on a little bit of a personal note, and thinking, obviously, you've kind of, when you get yourself into a state of peace of mind or what have you, maybe it conjures up sort of happy memories. Do you have a favourite childhood memory that you could share, or something that kind of inspired you, or like brought you a lot of happiness as a child?
Favourite childhood memory? Wow. Now I was quite lucky growing up, and my mum and dad were brilliant brilliant parents. They did what all parents do and kind of messed me up a bit, but they were cool. And so happy childhood memory. I
Yeah.
think my brother brings me my happiest childhood memories, just from seeing him do stuff, um, which he didn't think he could do, and that made me feel really good, and just sport, that kind of stuff. He got Marcus Trescothick out once, who then went on to play cricket for England. Marcus Trescothick did.
Okay.
My brother didn't. So
Okay.
that was a good one. Might have been caught on the boundary for the cricket fans out there, but either way, he got him out. And
Yeah.
so that was super cool. And we used to just laugh a lot when we were really young kids, going to visit my grandparents in Essex, and we would sort of share a room at my grandparents' house, and bunk beds and all that, and wind my dad up, and he'd be up and down the stairs because we should be going to sleep, and we weren't, and all that. But we had a great time. In fact, this year we went back there, and we went to watch Stuart Lee, the comedian, in Southend, and both of us find him really funny. And we went round all the old haunts from our childhood. So there is a bit of a childhood link there. But I think good times with my brother is probably my childhood memory. I'm quite lucky, actually. I've got some good friends from my childhood. My closest friend, my oldest friend, I met at Cubs, which we were at a party recently, and we told somebody that we met at this party that we met at Cubs, and she laughed. I don't know why. I think it was the first time she had a drink for a while, and she laughed for about an hour about that. So there you go.
Wow. You brought somebody else some joy on that occasion. That's amazing.
Without even knowing how. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Oh, it's so lovely to hear that you're so close to your brother and that you have a lot of historical fond memories, which is wonderful. That sounds like you had a good solid childhood, which is I think always important. It can be, I think obviously.
We grew up in Bristol, and we grew up in sort of inner city in Bristol, and surrounded by ethnic diversity, and went to inner city comprehensive school where the grades weren't great. I think it was around maybe just about 25% of the students there came out with 5 O levels or GCSEs or whatever. So it was not a high performing school at all. But what we learned about from a life point of view was was pretty cool, I think. And so we didn't have loads. We weren't kind of minted or whatever, but we had a lot of love. So that makes a difference, I think.
For sure. Wonderful stuff. Brilliant. So I would like to know, you're obviously an in-demand guy. I mean, you work with high-level CEOs to help them to achieve that direction in their business, to inspire their team and to live the lifestyle that they want. So you're obviously very in demand. What would you say would be your number one productivity hack for entrepreneurs?
For me, it's as simple as decide what the most important thing is and do that first. Don't do anything else. Don't get distracted by anything else.
Yeah.
And so, because productivity is a funny old thing. I think there's loads of stuff that you can do. So I've got loads of systems that I use to help me with prioritization and planning and all of that kind of stuff. But so I'm a big fan of the 12-week year. I use the 12-week year model. I've used it. I'm on my 34th or 35th 12-week year. Have you read the 12-week year?
I don't think I have. I've heard of the 4-hour work week.
Okay.
But not the 12.
Well, that's the thing to aim for. But the 12-week year, the idea around that is you annualized thinking it's just a made up thing, right? And it doesn't really help you to focus, because the human brain works on kind of 90-day cycles. Trying to focus for any longer than 90 days is a real stretch for us humans. So seeing each week as a month, and having 4 effectively 12-week years per calendar year, means that you really, really focus on the highest priorities and you nail them. You're not allowed any more than 3 to 7 priorities. Or, well, actually, I've adapted it. That's what I teach. I can't remember what the 12-week year actually says about that now, but it's a great book. Definitely read it.
Okay, awesome.
But yeah, but minimizing the number of things that you do and making sure you're really clear on what they are. And it's the activity that's so key. The 12-week year says this, and I find this. What you do now, the activity that you are doing, is by far the best measure of what your future success is going to be. So, lots of people measure metrics that are kind of lag metrics, like sales turnover and all of that sort of stuff. Well, measure the activity. So really measure the activity that's going to create that end result. So like I said, there's loads of different productivity tools, and you can use Notion and AI and all of that sort of stuff. But when it comes down to it, make sure you do the most important, highest value thing first, and just do that until it's done. And then if you've done the most important thing, then okay, do the second most important thing. And after that, your day's probably more potent and powerful than 95% of the population. So you're going to A, feel good, and B, get ahead. So it is as simple as that. And that is a real discipline that I have to work on, because I'm posting on social media, and I need to make sure I don't get dragged into looking at what other people are posting when I'm putting my posts on. The email box goes bing. I've got a family who can contact me via message, WhatsApp, and email, and they know my notifications are off. So that means that they send me messages on everything, and then they shout at me and ring me as well. So it's just really, really important just to focus on that one most important thing, and it is that simple. Just do that one thing, and it make a massive difference.
Would you say? I mean, I'm all about freedom. I mean, we talk about financial freedom and lifestyle freedom predominantly within the Wealth Whisperer, and one of my biggest things is about the fact that if you plan well, planning gives you freedom, right? Because with that, and with great management, great leadership, like you say, you can actually achieve a level of freedom in your life. So with that in mind, what would you say freedom means to you? What is freedom to you?
So freedom is choice to me. Because there's lots of different freedoms, aren't there? There's freedom of there's time freedom. There's money freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom of choice. Freedom to follow your purpose. Yeah. So for me it's about choice. In fact, when David Jones, who's the mentor I mentioned earlier, said to me, "What is it you want?" He said, he asked me, "What do you want?" And I said, "Well, I want to be in control of my own destiny." So that's how I was talking 24 years ago. And but now it really is about freedom of choice. And so, being able to choose how you use your time is, for me, what freedom is. But in order to access that, what that does actually mean is that there might be things that I need to do that aren't necessarily what I would love to be doing. So in choosing freedom, you are making other choices that are going to enable that. So choose what you would love to do, and choose something which you're going to enjoy the process of getting there. And if there are things that you really, really can't abide, then get there fast enough to be able to get somebody else to do those bits for you, and afford to pay them to do that. So so that's kind of what I'm working on right now, because right now I'm probably working more hours than I would probably like to. That's not strictly true. I'm working the hours I want to work because I enjoy doing it. But some of the things I'm doing are not things that I would say, well, this is freedom for me,
Right.
I'm not in flow, We're doing some of the things I'm doing. But I will definitely get there. And it evolves, doesn't it, as time goes on? You get somewhere, and then you think, oh, actually, this I kind of wanted this, but I kind of wanted this with pink spots rather than blue spots. So I need to kind of, do you know what I mean? Because your purpose evolves.
Yes.
So I think it's okay for your definition of freedom to evolve as well.
Yeah.
What that really, really means to you.
It's evolved and changed for us over the years, what we wanted and what we've actually achieved, and then, like you say, hone, refine, define even more. And that's the key to it, isn't it? And it's, you don't know what it is that you want until you get there, and then you think, oh, actually, it's an ever evolving process. And as long as you're enjoying the process, that's the most important thing. But the choice thing, yeah. What is one thing that you would love to be remembered for?
I've actually written my own obituary. It's not obligatory for people to use it. I'm not intending to die, so but I've written it as part of my kind of life visioning thing. And so I think above all, I think I'd like to be remembered as somebody who created a place where people, and particularly my family, felt safe, loved, and socially confident, and had a sense of belief that they can do whatever it is they want to do in life.
That's powerful. Whoa, bringing the mortality element of this world, this life, into focus, I suppose, and helping you to keep on track, or to let that lead the way of how you live your life.
People hold beliefs that they don't know they hold. So, a belief can be, anything that ranging from an opinion to being which kind of it passes very, very quickly, to being something that's so fundamental that it becomes almost a rule that you live by, and you don't necessarily know that it's there. So, for example, in business, people may believe that you can't beat the market, and okay, maybe the market will always win. Maybe that's a belief that you can hold, but what if you chose a different belief? What if you chose to believe that you can always be better than the business you were yesterday instead? And so, so therefore, you're taking yourself out of, in that scenario, believing that the market's going to win. Therefore, either there's nothing you can do about it, so just accepting your business is going to suffer, or just getting into competition and competing on price and devaluing your business. Whereas if you choose to disregard that belief and choose a different belief that is something that relates to an area of life that you can control, like we can always be better than the business we were yesterday, that completely changes the way you think about, for example, a market downturn. And so I've used a business example there, but for my kids to be around after I'm gone, and to remember me that as somebody who, well, not enabled them because they've got to do it, right, but who kind of created a space where they could believe in themselves and believe in themselves in a way that kind of really helps them to live a fulfilling life, then yeah, that for me kind of is it, really.
A terrific legacy to live by. It's not just, you're not just ending with that. That's your living by, and that is a gift to the people, not only the people that you work with, but your family as well.
Yeah.
That's
And there's
lovely.
lots of generational trauma in the world, isn't there? You think about all these people, all these refugees and stuff around the world now. My wife's a quarter Greek, and there was a lot of movement around the southern part of Europe, and there's generational trauma that exists because of all of that. 50 years ago, 100, no, not 50 years ago, around about the Second World War and before that. So that it's a real thing. So, recognizing that you can choose a belief that serves you, because most beliefs are things you hold to be true, and they're fantasies that you've adopted. So choose a better fantasy. That's Philippa. That's a Philippa Perry quote. So Grayson Perry, the artist, his wife's a clinical psychologist, and she's brilliant. So if you don't like what you're believing, what you're thinking, then choose a better fantasy.
What is one question that you wish I'd asked you, and how would you have answered it?
Do you know what? That's really stumped me. The question that you've asked me is probably the best question that you could have asked me now, actually, because I think if you'd have asked me the most important thing that you can do to create a life of wealth that you can enjoy, then I think I would probably have answered the question in a way that said that wealth is not just about money. So wealth is partly about money. Like I say, profit follows purpose. So having a purpose, focus on that. Don't focus on the money. Focus on the meaning. Focus on the mission. Focus on the the reason that you want to create that for yourself. Focus on that, and then the money will follow. Or ways to create the money will follow. And also then, if you have all the money in the world, but you don't have your health, it is completely pointless. And by that, I mean your physical health, and so being able to actually get out and enjoy it, but also your mental health as well, and your mental well-being.
David, I couldn't have asked or answered that question any better than you just have. So that's a wonderful way to come to today's conclusion. So thank you so much for that. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here on the show. And I'm sure the audience has taken away a lot of great tips and insights and gems from you. So thank you so much. Just tell us how people can get in touch with you. How are you accessible?
I'm on all the social media platforms, and feel free to connect with me and comment on my posts, please. And so that'd be great. I also have I'm starting a community called Business with Purpose. I used to have a podcast called Business with Purpose. It's still up there if you want to listen to it. So so please feel free to listen to that. And when you finish listening to Hazel's show, of course, so I've kind of wanted to migrate that to a community to get a bit more engagement. So that can be found at bit.ly/BWP community. So bit.ly/BWP Business with Purpose community. So yeah, if people want to connect, then I'd love to hear how you're doing.
And we will put that link in the show notes below. Okay, so anyone who wants to just click on there can just access that from the show notes underneath to make it easier. So, and community, there's such a power in community. That's wonderful that you're creating that to go with the purpose and the business element, because I think that is what's seriously lacking in some respects, and especially perhaps the type of people that you work with. I think to have a community and to be able to work in that arena and have the level of understanding of what people are going through and how they can make a difference and improve not only their own lives but the lives of the people they're working with and their customers at the end of the day. Nothing better, really. So a great purpose there, a great purpose there, David. Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, great. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and to get to know you better. And I wish you all the very best with your new community building.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Take care, and thanks ever so much for listening in.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for listening in, and we look forward to seeing you on the next show. Bye for now.